This is the new Starlink Mini, and I haven't been this excited to unbox a new product, well, since the first Starlink. Welcome to the beautiful remote Bailey's on Palomar Resort. 5,500 feet elevations up in the San Diego mountain range in the middle of nowhere. There are 0 options up here as far as cellular is concerned, and the best option that they have is Starlink Internet. Currently on the rest of the property, I have a Starlink Business that's powering the Ubiquity network. I have another video over here or at the end of this video that you can watch, which goes into detail on that, and I'm going to be updating that in a couple of weeks, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. The goal is to be able to have internet for the activities that happen on this side of the property, but as you can see, not a whole lot of infrastructure. So we're going to be powering the Starlink Mini with, we're going to be powering the Starlink Mini via USB-C with the Anchor battery pack. Now you might be asking, wait, Starlink doesn't come with USB-C. How are you going to be powering it with a USB-C battery? Well, my friends, that is why I've bought a couple of aftermarket adapters. The barrel plug that's in the Starlink Mini is a standard, and you can get USB-C to barrel adapters. Now, I've heard from some others that these do work, but I figured I'll try 3 different brands. We'll see if they work, and I'll leave the links to them down below so that you can get them should you want to. Starlink has said that they're going to be coming out with a USB-C to barrel adapter directly, but as of filming of this video, I haven't seen it yet. One more thing to note with USB-C is it does completely obliterate the waterproof rating, so if you are planning on having this outside with USB-C powering it, you've been warned. All right, let's get this thing open. This is my first time unboxing and looking at it in person. I'm very excited about this. Oh, there's another side tab pull. Very satisfying. And one more. All right, right away in the box, go closer over here. Right away in the box, you have your startup instructions, your Starlink setup instructions over here. First thing you see is the adapter, and this says that it has this has an output of 30 volts 2 amps, aka 60 watts, and it is IP66 rated. You've got a barrel plug in there, and that's part of the waterproofing. You've got your stand. And then, of course, you've got the main attraction. The teeny tiny, oh my God, it is so small, Starlink Mini. Let's take this out. That's it. Itty bitty. This, of course, is the cover that they give you that goes over the Starlink Mini dish and has the planets on there. Elsewhere in the box, below the Starlink Mini dish, they have the long power cable here. I'll throw up on the side of the screen how long that actually is. And then you've got your regulatory manual, reading materials, etc. We don't need that. Pick that up later because I don't want to leave any trash out here in the wild. All right, let's put the box aside and just give you an idea of how big this is, or small for that matter. This is my iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is the Starlink. Itty bitty, teeny tiny. This is like a large iPad or a small laptop for that matter. In the back, you've got a stand. If you just want to lay it on the ground, that's the way that you are going to want to do it. You've got below that your barrel plug for power there. And then this little guy is something I'm excited about because even though this is meant for backpackers, there are those of us who are going to want to plug it into an existing infrastructure, such as what we have here on this property. And yeah, that is a heck of a plug, waterproof there. But underneath, if you can see that, is a Ethernet adapter. Sorry, is a Ethernet port. RJ45 for those playing the home game. Then, of course, on the back here, you've got the Starlink logo and regulatory stuff, etc. It says the dish, model number, input is 5 amps, 60 watts. IP67 Type 4 rating, which is the waterproofing. However, once again, if you put in a barrel adapter, it's not going to be waterproof. Let's take a quick look at the, take a quick look at the barrel adapter so you can see what that waterproofing looks like, and you can see how waterproof that is. It has the similar rings there in order to keep it out of the rain. All right, one last thing, or I should say the first thing that I want to test is a sizing fit. Here's my backpack. This is a camera bag, but it is meant for laptops, so it has a laptop space in the back. And right now, I have my 14-inch MacBook Pro inside. So we're going to open this up and take out my 14-inch MacBook Pro and all of my glorious stickers. Put this over here so that it doesn't fall or break or get lost. And here's the question. Fold this down, no cables. Move this down a little bit. And it doesn't quite fit in the laptop sleeve because it's a little bit wider than a laptop. However, it does rather easily fit in the pocket itself. And there you have it. So if you have a backpack with a laptop slot, you are going to be able to fit it in there. This is meant for the 14-inch or 15-inch size. I didn't push it in all the way because I didn't want to, but in case you're curious. So this backpack completely comes apart and is meant for cameras, and so is meant for photographers. So I've also got, you know, my drone, and whoops, there goes my batteries. Other stuff in here. So if I wanted to, I could just slide it in there and you see how that fits. That being said, this space is a little bit tighter, especially with the fatter backside. Technically it can go in, but that would stretch the hell out of that. So honestly, this will be protected sufficiently. Just put it in like this and zip it up. Come on. If I was on a level surface, this would be easier. So if you're going hiking, you've got a backpack and you've got a laptop space in it, or you have the pocket in front, which this doesn't have because it's got the bucket pocket here, which I have other stuff in. But if you have like a Timbuktu backpack and it has the second pocket over here for other stuff, you could easily just slot the Starlink Mini in there, no problem. All right, enough of that. The moment you've all been waiting for, let's get this thing powered up via USB power. I'll try it out later on with the real power, but we all know that works. The fun part is seeing if the USB-C part is gonna work. Okay, we have a couple of barrel adapters for this. I will leave the links to which one is which down below. This is the X003U41BWP USB-C to DC adapter, as you can see here. And I have seen some other people use this online, so I'm gonna start with this one and then we'll test the others. You can see here that it is PD power delivery for 100 watts, which is way more than we need to power the Starlink, but that's important because it can deliver power all the way through. Now, unlike the other cables that I've purchased here, this actually comes with a whole set of adapters, so you can choose which one you need. We'll find out which one fits, and I'll let you know what size that is when I figure it out, because I don't remember what it was. The two other cables that I have here are FarSense USB-C to DC adapter and a Gint Tuyun, but we'll get to those later. Out of the bag straight away, you can see USB-C barrel adapter. Let's see if this plain old barrel adapter fits, or if we need to put one of the other units on it. Oh, no need for any of the other adapters that came with this entire set because the normal one fits. The one that's built in fits. All right, moment of truth. Let's put the dish down. North is that way. So we're going to put this right over here next to my quad, pointing up at the sky. This is the Anker Prime 27,650 milliamp power bank, 250 watt. It is, as of now, their biggest, beefiest battery pack. And not sure if you can see on the screen because it is very bright out here. Set the screen brightness to high. It's currently at 100%. Okay, we're gonna plug it in and we're gonna monitor the wattage that gets used. Okay, 34.5 watts, 36.5 watts. Now what I'm going to do on my phone here is open up the Starlink app. Let's get my phone recording going. I'm going to open up the Starlink app so that we can get this set up. Drop down to 24.3 watts. Let's see what the instructions say. The instructions say setup.starlink.com after you've joined the Starlink Wi-Fi. So let's do that. Let's see if it's broadcasting the Wi-Fi network yet. 24.3 watts still up. There it is, Starlink network up on the screen. So we're going to join that. And go to Starlink, setup.starlink.com. Setup.starlink.com. 22.3 watts. Okay, now I'm in the Starlink app. Please sign into your account to use this feature. I am getting my push notifications though, so I must have some data coming through. Let me put that in focus mode so that you don't see all of my notifications. Okay, the mini roam is online. Let's tap it. Okay, Wi-Fi is not configured. Let's give it a new Wi-Fi name. Super cute tiny Wi-Fi. Password will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Applying settings. Now, one thing to note that sets this apart from the other Starlink dishes is that all of the electronics necessary are built in. You don't need a separate router anymore. You don't need any separate power supply. You just plug in directly to the unit and has the Wi-Fi router all built in. Now I'm applying settings. Let's just check our power consumption here. We are currently using 20 watts, and on this battery, it'll run for about 4.5 hours. Let's see what our peak capacity is, what our peak usage is when we're doing a speed test and it's really pushing data through. Now this Anker battery, while it is the largest of their line of these Prime devices, they do make larger batteries from Anker and Jackery and other companies. So if you have something larger than this, well, first of all, you can plug it in over here, but second of all, you can plug it into the USB-C here and you'll be able to power it for much longer. Okay, I'm going to join super cute mini Wi-Fi. Oh, tinny Wi-Fi, typo, whoops. Okay, now let's update the software. I'm going to fast forward this part in the edit because this is going to take several minutes. Look at that, I nailed the alignment. No adjustment is necessary. So exactly where I put it on the ground, pointing that way towards the northern sky, is perfectly aligned, as you can see here in the app. Okay, it's downloading the update now. And let's just do a quick speed test while it's doing that for funsies and see what we get. Oh baby, 160 meg down in the middle of nowhere on a teeny tiny backpack sized dish. 146, looking at 24, 11, 10, 12 upload. That makes sense. Now you will notice that I am on 5 gigahertz. This does not have 6 gigahertz or Wi-Fi 7, etc. But honestly, you're not hitting gigabit speeds on this thing anytime soon, so that's fine. Okay, let's go back to the main screen. Still downloading the update. We're at 53%. Look at some statistics. 84% ping success. No outages because it's brand new, I'm guessing. Latency spiked really high in the beginning there, but remember what has to happen. The dish right now is using, I believe they call it a phased antenna array, basically a whole bunch of little antennas on it using electronics to position, using electronics and software to position where it's pointing to which satellite in the sky. Because the way Starlink works, if you're not familiar, is there's tons of satellites all over the sky and they're moving because they're in orbit, right? So they move, we move, etc. This is finding the right one and connecting to it, and sometimes it has to say, whoops, you moved way too far out of the horizon, I can't reach you anymore, let me grab the next one. And when that happens, you're going to see a big latency spike like that. Usually it's a second tops, maybe 2, or if you're in like a stormy condition, which you're probably not using this if that's the case, but if you're in stormy conditions with the larger high efficiency or the business class dish, then that may take a little bit longer. I have seen slight outages, but usually, honestly, even up here, during a blizzard, I still was maintaining 150 meg on the business dish. So I've been nothing but impressed with the performance of the business dish as well as what I'm seeing here from this guy. All right, so let's check on, yeah, it also says your Starlink just powered on. Network performance should stabilize after about 15 minutes. So also it's downloading the update, 78% completed. And the obstructions map, for those who don't know, will basically tell you if there's anything in the area that is blocking its ability to see the sky. And quite frankly, I might even be in the way over here a little bit because it's able to see at a whole angle. Now there is a big tree over here directly where it's pointing, but it's not in the way as far as we can see here. You might be seeing a little bit of that tree here with this blue right in front of it, but it doesn't seem to be complaining. But then again, Starlink is calibrating and it could take up to an hour for that to work, so we're going to let that run. As soon as it's done with the software update and everything is operational, then I will test out the other 2 plugs. Obviously, I'll shorten all of this in the edit so that you don't watch an hour-long video of me futzing around with Starlink out here trying to make sure it works. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it in to a UniFi network and broadcast the signal all the way out there and all the way out there. Why? Why not? Because I can. Quick check on our power consumption here. We are using 24.3 watts, downloading an update. That gives me 3.5 hours remaining of power on this battery pack. All right, it is online. I imagine it's about to go offline, given that it is going to install the software update. While we're waiting, let's hop over to Ookla's speed test and see what it shows us as far as connection and do a in the wild speed test. You can see it's going to Scale Matrix, which is in San Diego, California, so that actually is pretty close to us. I did do a test on Starlink Wi-Fi on a plane, which I'll link to at the end of the video as well as above here, and it was sending me from Los Angeles to a downlink in Texas, which is much further. Now, if you don't know how all of this works, the further you are away, you get more what's called latency, the amount of time it takes for the signal and the internet packets to go from my computer to the servers and then back again. Shorter latency, shorter distance is always going to be best. The fact that this is going from here in the San Diego mountains to a data center for the speed test in San Diego should be a really solid test. Now let's get started. Look at that, beautiful. 100 meg, 120, 130, 140, 150. Oh, gorgeous. 160, 168. Download, that's respectable. 17 meg, 18 meg, sorry, this is upload. 18 meg upload. It would take quite a while for me to upload this YouTube video on that connection, but it would work, especially if I left it overnight without a problem. So that's really, really quite something. 170 meg down and 17 meg up, idle 30. 0% packet loss. 0% packet loss. It's going to space. 0% packet loss. This is fantastic. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. Let's go over to YouTube and see what that's like. My FBI declassified story. Marquez, what do you got for us?
So, I've made a few references over the past couple years to that time that the FBI visited the studio. And
I like to watch these in higher quality.
Pretty obvious reasons. So for years,
so let's go
I haven't.
4K.
But it turns out
and
I am now finally able
playback
to tell
speed
that story.
2x.
So here we are. So for those of you who don't know, we have a studio here, and it's in a larger building with more tenants in it, obviously. It's like an office building. It's not exactly like an office building, but, you know, there's a front desk and security and all that. And I've been in this building long enough that we have a pretty good relationship with
This is fantastic. Now, granted, I'm the only one that's using this.
Security at the front desk. We'll call him Bob, just for this. But Bob and I have this one rule, which is that if anyone ever showed...
So this is now streaming 4K and 2x speed, and it hasn't stuttered a single time. Now, granted, I'm the only one using it, and 100 meg, even 160 meg is, of course, more than capable, more than enough to be able to do this, but this is still really impressive. In the middle of nowhere.
Escobar phone.
I'm going to get back to that later, because that sounds like a fascinating story. But the fact of the matter is that we're using 20 watts to run this thing off of a mobile battery in the middle of nowhere. So not to beat a dead horse, but holy crap, this is awesome. All right, I'm gonna go for a walk and see how far this can carry. I'm walking off behind me into the field here, and I am still at full bars on Starlink. And I'm going to initiate another speed test, because that's a great way to be able to see the signal strength drop off as the speed slows as I get further away from the unit. Now, I am walking with my back to the camera here because there's a lot of holes and snakes and stuff here, and I don't really want to get bitten. 100 meg standing right over here, probably 100 feet away from the dish. 88 meg. This is glorious. Let's keep going. Now standing at a riverbed. There goes a chipmunk. Now standing at a riverbed, you can see how far away I am. Hello, over there. It's probably, 300 feet or so. And I still have 2 bars. I'm going to do this test again. I'm now recording the screen, and I'm doing the test, and you can see I've got 2 bars up top, and let's see how much speed we can get out of this. Oh, it is taking its time. Eeks. Okay. This looks to be the outer limit of what we're getting. 0.15 meg. That's brutal. Of course, that's what you might get if you're on a competitor's satellite service. Okay, let's go a little closer then. The Wi-Fi reaches, but not really. Error. Still at 90%, 22.3 watts, 3 hours, 45 minutes remaining. All right, I'm going to now turn us around here. And where are we? There it is. The little pole from the little structure, shade structure that I'm standing under. And let's see here. That big green thing over there is the lake. So I'm gonna walk from here down that way towards the lake and do another speed test, and let's see how we do. Okay, I am now about 50 feet away from the dish, heading downhill away from it. I'm actually behind the dish, and you can see I'm hardly getting a signal. I wonder if it makes a difference on where the dish is positioned as to whether or not the signal reaches further. So let's do another test to test said theory, going in the north direction and see if it gets any better. I'm also going to close and reopen the speed test app because it's good to give it a chance to reset. Okay. Remember that big tree I was talking about before over the north? There it is. All right, so I'm gonna walk that way and we're gonna see how good our Wi-Fi holds up. So I'm currently starting a speed test, full bars, and let's walk about another 50 feet away in this direction. Okay. Decent looking speed test. 6, 7, not great, not as good as out there. Now I'm going under the tree, which is good for interference. Still got 7 meg, which is really solid for being all the way out here. So it does definitely make it far. As to the Wi-Fi, I'm about 100, maybe 75 feet from the dish now, but I can check that on Google Maps afterwards. I'm getting 5 up. Woo! Here. All right, I'm gonna test again, one more time. You can see how far I am. Hello over there. And we're now testing across to Los Angeles. Let's see what it picks up. 45 millisecond, and yeah, 1 meg. So this is, again, the outer limits is about 100 feet away or so. For the next part of this review, we're going to test the 2 other USB-C to DC adapters that we got and see if they work just as well. Pop this one out and put it aside. Great success. Ah, don't fall. Now I'm going to test the Gint Uyun cable. This says power delivery 65 watts, but that's okay because we were only using 20 watts of power. So 65 should work just fine. All right, it's been 5 minutes. I'm gonna call it. I don't think this cable is giving it what it needs. The battery pack is still reporting that it's at 36.9 watts, and it doesn't appear to be showing up at all in the Wi-Fi network, so goodbye. All right, next up is the FarSense USB-C to DC adapter, and apparently it's also going to display the voltage, which is always fun. Zero watts, this cable doesn't work. All right, let's go back to the original cable because I'm sick of being disconnected from reality. Oh my God, it's already active. Look at that, I didn't even have time to start the stopwatch. It was 12 seconds, what is that? That's ridiculous. What was that, 30 seconds? And whilst doing the speed test, we're back to, sorry, I turned the screen off. There come all my notifications. 26.3 watts, so at rest, working, 26.3 watts. I'm not really sure what was going on with the other cables. They were reading at much higher voltage as it was starting up and it was getting nothing. You saw this was like 30 seconds, it started up and we're back in business, back online, 84 meg down. It'll probably continue to improve given that it only just turned on and it does take about 15 minutes for the satellites to really optimize the connection. I'm doing another test right now, at 40, 50, cranking up here. 76, my YouTube comments, 84, 87, 90. So 90 down, it's already improving. Now for the last step here, I'm going to pull out the really tightly pushed in waterproof Ethernet cover, this guy that I showed you before. I'm gonna put that in my pocket so I don't lose it or drop it, because whatever. And I'm going to take my Ethernet cable and I'm going to feed it in through the little hook here, some nice cable management, and into the hole. The problem is the cable I'm using may be too fat because I'm using a fat Ethernet cable. 1 second, let's trim this bad boy down to size. For science! For the review! You should never do this, by the way. I'm only doing this for testing. This is not recommended standard procedure. But I need my cable to fit. I'm out in the middle of nowhere without access to lots of other cables, so I'm giving my cable a haircut. And yes, this is dangerous. Don't try this at home. Gotta love the Leatherman arc. Super handy in all kinds of situations. All right, now you can see this cable has been given a bit of a haircut. Let's put the knife away. Let us plug it in here and see how that goes. All right, it's in there. Now, one thing to note, that's gonna be a pain in the ass to get out, so be careful whatever kind of clip you use. Let's position that there. Did our amperage go up is the question. 18.2 watts, so far so good. Now I'm gonna plug the other end into my Ubiquiti setup. Come with me. This is the Ubiquiti Cloud Gateway Max. For my full unboxing video, be sure to check it out here, or maybe I'll link that at the end of the video. The great thing about this is it's a low power, teeny tiny, shrunken down version of their rack mounted network controller. And it can run all of the UniFi apps, including Protect, through a built-in solid state hard drive here. Protect is their security camera application. The great thing about this is that I can power it via USB-C, which also makes it really easy to do in a situation where I'm all the way out in the woods here. Now for this part of the project, I did bring my beefier Anchor battery because I am going to be hooking it up via a PoE injector in order to power this, which is the U7 Outdoor, which is Ubiquiti's newest, I think, one of Ubiquiti's newest antennas in the U7 lineup, the Wi-Fi 7 lineup. And the great thing about this is that it has a built-in super antenna, super sector antenna that basically blasts Wi-Fi extremely far straight out the front of the unit. Now, should you want, instead of it just going out the front of the unit for a long distance, but instead you want to cover a 360-degree area, it does have these 2 points on the top where you can remove these and put in antennas, and that'll service the area around. However, my goal here is to cover the area across that lake. And I've done it in the past with the Ubiquiti mesh. I forget what they're called. They're like little bunny ear antennas, and I've done it with those before. However, I think I'm going to get much better performance out of the U7 Outdoor, and that's where I'm going to set it up. And of course, I'm going to be powering it with Starlink. Let me show you where I am. Right now, I am on the other side of the lake. Remember this lake that we were going to try and get Wi-Fi near it? Well, I'm clear across it. Now, if I focus on this area over here, do you see that structure, metal structure with the green roof? You can see that from space, and I'll show you where that is overlay when I do the editing. But on the very corner of that structure is where the U7 Outdoor is, and then it's got Wi-Fi coming clear all the way across the lake, 900 feet away, and I'm getting 100 meg down on a speed test. I'm gonna put all this away and go get some lunch. Hope you enjoyed. Put a couple of videos here that I mentioned throughout the video, either in the link on the top or in the show notes or on the videos that it shows at the end here. Please like and subscribe. Let me know your questions and comments down below, and I'll be sure to answer as many as I can. Thanks for watching. Signal, everything's good? Not yet. I'm making a movie. I'm setting it up for the first time. It's for my YouTube channel.